Ottawa's variety station, and it's Kornicky in here with you today. And a cold one, for whatever it is you're doing out there. We were sitting around minus 10 or so, and the wind chill's got her down around minus 20, so wrap your willy if you're going to spend any time outside today. You definitely need it. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing great. A little chilly. You're right. It is cold out there. It's ready to...
it's warm in here, though, right? When we're near each other, it's always a nice little...
It's been good. It's good seeing you. It's been a while.
Yeah, Matt Hamilton, who... what did I describe you on our Facebook just a little while ago? You're an author, obviously. You're a world traveler.
That's true.
You're a little bon vivant.
Wait. From time to time. Yeah.
You love life. And we only
get one shot at life, so you got to make the most of it for sure.
And I ended up meeting you. I'm trying to remember. It was probably about 7, 8 years ago.
About that.
And I wanted to share your story with everybody. We're gonna talk to Matt now, and then we're gonna talk to him a little while later because he's got another book coming out. And in this new age and new world of publishing and the rest of it, you're very close to being able to have the second book published, and some people are going to be able to help you out to make that happen. But I want them to know a little bit about you first. For anybody that's ever tried or traveled in this world, there's two ways of going about it. There's the full itinerary and knowing exactly where you're going and what you're doing and what you're, and who's looking after you when you get there and where you may meet at the airport. And then there's what you do. And I'd like to think of what I've tried to do in my past, never to the scale of what you did. Tell everybody, you gave up your life and you decided to take on the world, traveling and just seeing it at the pace that it unfolded.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a little insight into that.
Yeah, so I went right from university to a suit and tie job that paid the bills, looked good on paper, but inside I just was not happy. I was going through the routine of things. And woke up one day and realized life was going to pass me by if I didn't make a drastic change. So sold everything, quit my job, and bought a one-way flight to Glasgow, Scotland. And my goal was to go around the world without a timeline or itinerary. If I liked a spot, I'd stay, and if I didn't, I'd move on. Now, I'd never traveled before. I'd been on holidays with a family, but I'd never put on a pack and traveled. So I had no clue of what I was doing, but I was going to dive in head first and figure it out as I went. Now, I almost didn't get out of the airport in Glasgow. I mean, the accent was so thick there, it almost sent me back home. Because I didn't even know where I was staying that night. I had a one-way flight to Glasgow.
And that's always great, especially when you're at the airport and they ask you, right? And where are you staying? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm actually amazed they let me in the country. Like, I was as clueless and naive a traveler as I think there has been or possibly will be. But, I mean, that's the beauty side of it. You can be daft and clueless like I was and still have an adventure and get through it and enjoy every single moment of it. Like, it is an addictive lifestyle.
Were you planning on writing your first book when you first went out? Because I don't remember if we ever talked about that. Or were you just going out for that adventure of your lifetime and decided, you know what, I got to share this with you?
I had no idea. So I was 24 at the time. I honestly thought my timeless trip around the world was going to take 2 years. Really, that's what I thought. Now, I got stuck in South Africa for 5 years total. I mean, it's an addiction. I still haven't touched South America. There's so much to see. So when I left home, I had no idea. But it was while I was living in South Africa and realized that while this lifestyle and the experiences and the people I'm meeting are fascinating and how I want to live life, how am I going to make a bit more of a living than these odd jobs that I've been having. So that's when I decided to delve into writing, because I thought, it's an interesting story, but I'd met so many people that had never traveled that I thought were, like me, sitting behind the desk doing something that they really hated but were unaware of this lifestyle or afraid of some of the myths and falsehoods that were out there. Like,
well, we're taught to take care of ourselves and to look forward and to plan. And
that's it.
To make sure you know where your next meal's coming from.
No, and you quickly discover what the word freedom is all about. And traveling alone, people will think, oh, you're alone all the time. No, are you kidding me? You're never alone. You're only alone when you want to be. And that is something that we really don't have the luxury of doing here often in the fast-paced North American lifestyle. So there's always people around. There's always things to experience. There's always people to give you ideas of where to go. I mean, a guidebook, that could have been written 3-4 years ago by an individual who might have absolutely nothing in common with me. I don't know what his opinion is worth. Yeah. Sitting next to a guy in the bus who I've been chatting with for a couple hours, we're definitely clicking, got a good energy going on. Yeah, I want to know where you've been. Give me your opinions. And it's those things that have really taken me off the beaten path, taken me to some places that I never knew existed, never dreamed existed, and have been, I mean, truly some of the most beautiful, magical places I've seen with my own eyes.
And your first book, Through Travel and Error, what was it? Something to do with a crazy traveling world? Like
Confessions of an Asylum-Seeking Canadian. Yes, I was granted political asylum while in South Africa. That's the first for a Canadian, by the way.
And what I found amazing, and again, I love the way you write about it because you're a storyteller. And in the stories that you relate, and that to me is what breeds my, I don't know, my fever to go out and try the stuff, or to go out and find something similar, or to relate to it a little bit, because it isn't, like you say, it isn't a matter, and when you get there, make sure you take the ferry and go up the Rhine this far, and you're going to see this and these cathedrals, because it's not about that. It's about a connection, an individual connection, or some sort of incredibly human.
Well, that's
thing.
Well, that's it. You meet the people. I mean, I keep going back to South Africa, but I spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia, in Laos and Cambodia, and some of these really poverty-stricken areas. But the simplicity allows this amazing community to be built, a genuine sense of community that I think we've somehow lost here a little bit in North America. I'm not saying we're not friendly, but it's different there. And you realize very quickly that no matter where you are from the world, no matter what your background is, your culture, your religious beliefs, we're all really the same. We all have the same goals in life: to be happy, to love your family, and be happy in your community. Like it's an amazing connection, and you get that with the people you're visiting, whether you're in Laos or South Africa or Cambodia. But you also find that with the travelers that you come across, who also have the packs on their back, whether they're from Germany or Australia, Switzerland, England. There's a common bond. You've all given up a comfort zone to go and explore somewhere new, somewhere different. There's an open-mindedness, a willingness to learn. A lot of the places I go to, people say, "Oh, isn't that a dangerous part of the world?" Transkei, South Africa. Don't go to the Transkei. You'll get carjacked as soon as you drive into it. The Transkei in South Africa is one of the friendliest places I've been, and I think if you went into the Transkei with the mindset of apartheid, and you're in trouble because there is a tribal justice. But if you go in there with an open heart and an open mind and willing to meet the people, it's phenomenal, the reception. You are made to feel you're part of the community. It's mind blowing.
I think it's the open heart part that does it. I mean, to me, the ultimate connection. One thing, I got to cut into a commercial in a sec, but isn't it amazing that as you've traveled, and you talk about you're never quite alone. And it's amazing when you get to certain parts of the world where you see people that really have nothing. Okay? And again, they're forced to live within a community, and a tighter knit community, because they all got to look after each other, because not everybody's got a meal that night. So,
exactly.
And it gets spread. And isn't it amazing that when you go to these places and people that have so much less than what you grew up with and everything else are the first ones to try to offer you a hand and to help you. They've got nothing, and they'll give you half of it.
Yeah, no, you couldn't be more accurate in that. It truly is amazing. No, I mean, when I go back to the Transkei, I lived in a little village called Sinsa, but when I would take my weekend or week-long getaways, I would go up to the Transkei, and every time I go back, the little kids would come running up to me. I'd get waves from the people in the fields. I'd be there for 3-4 days. People would come by. I felt so welcome every single time I went back. And I live in an apartment building here in Ottawa. I don't know everybody in the building, let alone my floor. Like, it's terrible.
I'm the same way. I got somebody down the hallway that's a really good cook. For 2 years, I wanted to knock on their door and go, "What the hell are you cooking in there?"
But for some reason, we don't do that here. We don't do that here, where in those communities, they really do support each other, love each other. It gives you perspective. I think that's, freedom and perspective are two of the main things I've come away with during the last 15 years or so on the road.
Now, I don't normally talk, again, we play a lot of music around here. I wanted to have you in to talk because, again, it's fascinating. I love how you've chosen to live your life the last few years. But I also wanted, because you got another new book coming out, the one we're just talking about, Through Travel and Error. But your next one's coming out, and it's what,
It's called Gonzo Tourism.
I was going to say Gonzo's Guide to Tourism. But Gonzo Tourism. I'm going to play some music. We're going to come back in a couple moments. I want to find out a little bit about that, and I want to find out how people can actually help you, because you're well on your way to getting the next one published.
Yeah.
And these are the type of stories I think should be shared with everybody. So hang in just a couple moments. I appreciate you coming down tonight.
My absolute pleasure.
I got to play some music. I got to play some commercials. I got to pay some bills and keep the boss off my back. So we'll be back in just a little bit. Some Wild Cherry 5440 coming up. It's Kornicky with you on Bob.